Hello, my name's Darren Bennick. I wanted to have a chat with you today about the difference between feelings and emotions. Very often those two words are used interchangeably, and I found that they're actually quite different. And when you can see the difference, I've also found that there is a benefit in not only knowing the difference, but in applying the difference. And that will hopefully make sense to you as I go along and as I share with you my interpretation and my observations. Now, put simply, feelings are what comes in and emotions are what go out. So we feel with our senses. And I said I will sort of explain in more detail how this can help in a second. But if you think about just straight away, if all feelings is what's coming in with your senses, then there is no positive or negative. It's literally just your body receiving information from your environment. Emotions, on the other hand, are an outflow, and they do have a flavor. So the way I sort of observe it in my own body, in my own self, we have information that comes in that we feel through our senses, whether we hear it, see it, smell it, taste it, or sense it through our physical self. We then either have an interpretation that we've had beforehand, so like a trained response to that stimuli, or we come up with an interpretation in that moment. So we're creating thoughts around what we're feeling, that interpretation, and those thoughts are what generate the emotion. So emotion can be thought of quite simply as energy in motion. So what's putting it in motion? My understanding, my belief is that it's our thoughts. So if you think about when you are, say, and this is where that whole interchange thing sort of gets a little bit skewy and becomes a little bit confusing and not very helpful. So if you say that you're feeling angry, okay, I'm just going to put it out there. That's not necessarily true, okay? You are feeling sensations which you are interpreting as something negative, which is causing an angry emotion. So two people can have the same stimuli and have completely different responses to it depending on their thoughts on the matter. So yes, we can feel our own emotions, and that can be probably where the confusion lies, and because we're generating this emotion, and then because it's feeding back into us, or we're concentrating just on ourselves, we do feel that emotion, and then we are feeling anger. So we can feel someone else's anger, which is compassion, so to feel with someone, but to say that we are feeling angry is a kind of a misnomer, and it almost takes away your volition or your ability to do something about it. So if we're just saying, oh look, I'm just feeling angry at the moment, sometimes we can use that as a justification for our behavior, where if you fully take responsibility for your actions in your environment and your interaction with it, yes, these things might be happening that we are sort of feeling and coming in, and it's generating these thoughts, which is generating an emotion, but we do have control over that. So how can we use this information? Well, we can start to acknowledge what we're feeling inside our body, and to sort of start delving into what exactly that feeling is. So if something's happening in our environment and we say, what's the feeling? We need to sort of start to think of a different vocabulary for it, and a different way of interpreting it and explaining it. Why? Because it removes that negative sort of conditioned response. When we start to go, well, I'm a little bit on edge at the moment, like I'm whatever's going on, it's making me sort of jittery. Okay, instead of you're doing something to me, it's I'm getting this feeling. How am I going to respond to it? Can I relax that energy? Can I move out of that environment that's causing that response in me? What can you do about it? So we can also start to look at intervening in that reactionary process. So instead of something happening and then we react to it, which is a conditioned response, we can start to go, okay, that sort of hit me from afar. How can I deal with that? What other thoughts can I have about that energetic sort of response that I'm having that will enable me to move forward without reacting? So we start to respond. Now there's different techniques that I've sort of come up with that enable to slow that process down, that reactionary process, and to start to not only move with intention, but also to think and feel and act with intention. So, and what I've found is when you hold an intention, so when you hold a sort of way of being, and you sort of learn to stick to it, things that are coming in don't necessarily knock you off course so much, or your attention doesn't get dragged away from your sense of self as easily. I go into a lot more detail with this in my other material, which I'm not sure how that's going to come out yet. I run a small fitness studio called Mind on Fitness out of Signet, but my passion is self-healing, and I've had to heal myself not only of physical ailments, back, knee, joint, all that sort of stuff, but also mental and emotional. So emotional responses, conditioned responses, and dare I say spiritual, but that's a completely different sort of kettle of fish. So what I guess, if you can start to sort of see this two-way sort of relationship with the world, so things that are coming in and things that are going out, you can sort of more easily start to interpret things a little bit differently, and that becomes a lot easier. Instead of sort of going, oh, I'm feeling stressed, it's like, well, what actually am I feeling, and can I diminish that feeling or turn the amplitude of that feeling down? Can I turn the volume down, so to speak? What can I do about it? Can I condition my body to handle that better? Can I transmute that? So if that energy is in, what can I do? Instead of going like this, can I move it out? So that gets into more exercise and mind-body exercise, which is one of the focuses that I have as a personal trainer. A lot of the material that I do, or stuff that I do with my clients, is very much mind-body focused. So it's not just about that exercise, it's using your body to not only receive information, but also to express and promote information and energy. So hopefully that kind of gives a basic introduction to the difference between feelings and emotions. You may or may not agree with it, that's fine. It's definitely what I've found, and I've been playing around with this for many years. One of the other things that you can use this for is to start to create positive feedback loops. So you can generate an emotional sort of field, or generate an emotion, energy and motion, and you can feed off that. Okay. Just recently I have found that this is actually from a physiological perspective, it's a dopamine feedback loop. Okay, so there is science behind it. Quite aside from that, you just figure it out for yourself. You start to experiment with these things for yourself. So you can start to interpret what's going on in your life a bit more easy, and it gets more factual. So you're not so much using um, it is what it is. So if you feel something in your body, that's what you're feeling. How you interpret that is where things differ. So people can interpret things differently, and that's probably where a lot of our conflict comes from, in that we are conditioned to interpret things a lot differently. So in some cultures, things that happen are just part of everyday life for them. In other cultures, we think it's bad and negative and should be stopped and changed. Same thing with how we respond to each other. Like, some people are very abrupt. That's just how they are. It's not good, bad, or otherwise. They just are. That's just how they are. So you can either sort of go, oh, that's so rude, or you can go, okay, it's just abrupt. It's it hits me in the face. How can I deal with that? I can just sort of stand back a little when I'm talking to that person. No, not just literally, but figuratively speaking. I can allow that initial burst of energy from that person, that emotional sort of aspect, that feeling that I'm getting. I can just let it wash over me and go, and then reinterpret what's going on behind that energy. Anyway, that's just a couple of things that come to mind. I'll be delving into this more as I go on, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of something to explore on the difference between feelings and emotions. My name's Darren Bennick. This is a start of a series that I'm going to be running. I'm not sure of the name of it yet. It's either going to be through my business name, which is Mind on Fitness, or through my other conceptual sort of name that I've been playing around with, which is Soul Health Academy. Anyway, keep an ear out, keep an eye out, and I'm just going to reach into my pocket for my trusty remote control and press stop. See ya.